As we know, Dune 3 is happening much quicker than Messiah's story should, and we're hoping one crucial detail isn't changed. In some ways, Dune 3 will be different from the book after Denis Villeneuve's Part 2 changes. So, let's dive into everything we know about Dune Part 3 and what it could mean for the future of this epic saga. Dune 3 is moving ahead faster than we expected, and we really hope that Denis Villeneuve keeps one crucial detail from Dune Messiah intact. After splitting Frank Herbert's first Dune novel into 2 films, Villeneuve is set to wrap up his sci-fi trilogy with the follow-up novel Dune Messiah. This book picks up after the events of Dune Part 2 and explores Paul Atreides' reign as Emperor. Seeing how Villeneuve adapts this complex story makes Dune 3 even more exciting. The rapid progress on Dune 3 is surprising. Villeneuve initially talked about taking a break from Arrakis to work on an original sci-fi project between sequels. However, following the success of Dune 2, Warner Bros. And Legendary quickly confirmed Dune 3. With a script reportedly nearing completion, the fast turnaround for the next installment is unexpected but promising. If things go as planned, Dune 3 is set to release in December 2026, just 2.5 years after Dune 2. Making Dune 3 in under 3 years aligns with how quickly Dune 2 came together, but there's a catch. Dune 3 will adapt Dune Messiah, which takes place 12 years after the events of Dune. It would have made sense for Villeneuve to take a longer break, but it seems the studios are pushing for a quicker turnaround. It's crucial that Dune 3 retains this significant time jump. The book's plot relies on Paul being well established as Emperor, with enough time for him and Chani to start a family and for a rebellion to grow against Paul's rule. Given that Dune Messiah isn't as beloved as the first book, some story elements and character arcs will likely change. But skipping or minimizing the time jump would diminish the impact of Paul's character development. Anya Taylor-Joy's cameo as Alia Atreides and Paul's vision of her hint that the time jump will be crucial for explaining her older appearance in Dune 3. Another big reason we hope Dune 3 keeps the time jump is how it benefits the characters. In the first 2 movies, we didn't get a clear picture of how old Paul, Chani, or Irulan are, but in the book they're teenagers. Since Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, and Florence Pugh are in their mid-20s, the movies aged the characters up a bit. By the time Dune Messiah kicks off, they should be in their 30s with over a decade of experience in their complex political and personal lives. If Dune 3 only has a few years past between movies, the actors could still play their characters at the right ages for the book. However, to capture the depth and connections necessary for Dune Messiah, a proper time jump is essential. The extra years would allow Chalamet, Zendaya, Pugh, Taylor-Joy, and the rest to portray their characters with more maturity and depth, reflecting their growth beyond their early 20s. Keeping the time jump means the characters will feel more seasoned and fully developed, adding to the richness of their story. With details about Dune Part 3 still pretty thin, the latest update comes from Rebecca Ferguson, who played Lady Jessica in the first 2 films. She recently shared that she's been kept out of the loop regarding the pre-production process. Ferguson mentioned that none of the other actors have signed on yet and hinted that it might be costly to bring back the entire cast. She said, "I don't know anything. I know zero. I don't even know if he has finished the script. I don't even know if I'm in it. I mean, I hope I'm in it. I've got chains and tattoos. I'm awesome. I didn't even know Anya Taylor-Joy was in Dune Part 2 until I saw the film." Ferguson also pointed out the financial and logistical challenges, saying, "You also have to remember nobody has signed on to the 3rd film. That's a big decision. That's a lot of actors in one same movie mime rubbing bills together. So I don't know what they're going to do or where they cut corners. There's a lot to think about." As we look forward to Dune Part 3, it's clear that there are some significant changes coming from Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Frank Herbert's original series. One major adjustment is how the Spacing Guild will be introduced. In the books, the Spacing Guild is a crucial element of the Dune universe, deeply entwined with the political and economic machinations of the known universe. However, Dune Part 2 made the decision to omit the Guild entirely, focusing on other elements of the story. This omission creates a substantial challenge for Part 3, as the Guild's role is pivotal in Dune Messiah. The Spacing Guild, also known as the Guild of Navigators, holds immense power. It controls faster-than-light travel, interstellar transport, and banking, making it a major player alongside the Imperium and the Great Houses. In the book, the Guild's opposition to Paul Atreides is significant as they fear his rise threatens their monopoly and control. Villeneuve's adaptation will need to find a way to incorporate the Guild effectively. Although the Spacing Guild won't have the same extensive presence it does in the books due to its earlier exclusion, there is still potential for it to be introduced in a way that aligns with the established narrative. This will involve a balancing act to ensure that the Guild's impact on the story is felt without the deep-rooted presence it originally had in the series. As we anticipate these developments, it's intriguing to see how Villeneuve will navigate this integration and what new dynamics the Guild will bring to the final chapter of this epic saga. Chani won't be Paul's concubine in Dune 3. At the end of Dune 2, Chani, played by Zendaya, walks away from Paul because she can't handle his decision to become the Fremen Messiah. In the books, Chani sticks by Paul as he claims the Emperor's throne, and even though Paul marries Princess Irulan for political reasons, Chani remains his concubine, and they try to have kids together. But with Villeneuve's twist, Chani's role is going to be pretty different in Dune 3. Another big change we're expecting is with Princess Irulan's storyline. In Dune Messiah, Irulan works with the Bene Gesserit to block Chani from getting pregnant. Irulan secretly gives Chani contraceptives to keep Paul from having a child with her, trying to protect her own position and Bene Gesserit's plans. Even though Paul knows what's going on, he doesn't intervene, partly because he's seen in his visions that Chani might die during childbirth. With Chani leaving Paul, it's unclear how Villeneuve will handle their relationship in the third film. Irulan will likely still be a Bene Gesserit operative, but her role might shift. It's also worth noting that Dune 2 kept Lady Margot Fenring's subplot, where she seduces Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, hinting that the Bene Gesserit might have new plans for their bloodline in Villeneuve's adaptation. Along with shaking up Paul and Chani's relationship, Villeneuve's Dune 2 skips over the birth of Paul and Chani's first son. To keep the story tight and avoid confusing plot points, the director wisely leaves out Leto 2's sudden and tragic death as an infant during a Carino raid. It's unclear if Dune 3 will address Chani having a child or children with Paul in the interim, especially given their strained relationship. In Dune Messiah, Chani tries to bypass Irulan's contraceptive interference by starting a Fremen fertility diet. Unfortunately, she's weakened by Irulan's earlier efforts, putting her pregnancy and her life at risk. Chani dies during childbirth, leaving Paul with twins, Leto and Ghanima, who inherit his ancestral memories. Chani's death hits Paul hard and sets him on a path of wandering in the desert. The twins end up being raised by their aunt, Alia, played by Anya Taylor-Joy and Irulan. However, Dune 3 could potentially alter Chani's fate and how her story unfolds. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. What changes do you hope or expect to see in Dune 3 based on the alterations from the previous films? Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.